Okay, we're going to start the class, the face-to-face class, in just a minute, but for the online folks, I made some announcements to the face-to-face class, and some of them would be relevant to you, so I wanted to kind of share those comments with the online group that if you haven't gotten those bibliographies in, make sure you post them and meet all the criteria that's mentioned in them, number one. Number two, my teaching philosophy of constructivism in my 26 years, it seems like people can learn and teaching and learning can go much better for the first 8 weeks of the semester, but towards the end, it seems to me that a lot of professors figure out all the stuff they forgot to cover and they start dumping things all over students, and that's not my philosophy. I give you class time in the last unit, and this unit will work basically the same way. So for the folks in the online class, we're going to take this final unit and hopefully work off the bibliography. What I asked the face-to-face class to do was to basically read my asthma proposal. So that is posted for today, and I would ask the online group to maybe take 5 or 10 minutes and read through that. And what I wanted to start with was basically a discussion of what's going on in this research proposal and how that's potentially different than you guys wrote up. What did we say here? What sections have you written up for this class? A method and discussion and a results section. So the question is, nice to have you back. The question is, this is a research proposal. I created this myself off of one of the students that I was working with, but let's kind of go through it and kind of compare and contrast what happens here as far as the first section. And the first section, when you read my abstract, how is my asthma abstract different than most abstracts? Is it similar? Is it different? Make sure I'm recording here. Similar, different? How is it similar or how is it different? Normally, when you write up a research paper, and have people written up abstracts before? I'm assuming people have. Does it look like this?
I mean, a normal abstract will say like, oh, this is what we found, but because you haven't actually done it, it says this is what we think we would find.
Exactly. So you will be writing up an abstract. Actually, and I can say this for both groups right now, we will not have a face-to-face class here next Tuesday, obviously online as well, but your assignment for next Tuesday is going to be basically to produce a draft of your abstract. And this abstract is all kind of future tense. So your proposal is written in here's what's going to happen. Don't use what words with this? What will you get? Don't use I, and it is predicted, we should find, this is what is expected. So if you look through it, it's kind of got the idea. A pilot program was conducted to determine if X, Y, and Z will lead to this. What is that statement? What section of the paper is that sentence coming from? What is that sentence? Sentence number one. What section of the paper and what specific part is it? It's pretty, what's the word? Directive. What is that? Before you run an experiment, you have to have what?
Hypothesis?
Does that kind of look like a hypothesis? Yeah, in the first sentence you will probably have in your product, you will probably say, here's what's going on and here's what we hypothesize. In the kind of future tense, sentence number 2. Where is that sentence coming from?
The procedure. Yeah.
Say again?
The procedure.
Kind of the procedure, kind of a methods and materials and procedure. Parents will be given surveys asking them to assess, I probably shouldn't have capitalized, barriers to managing asthma, this, that, and the other thing, emergency revisits before and after the 3-month program. So kind of methodology. Yours could be longer, shorter. How about the third sentence?
The results.
The results. Now, in your, actually, we asked you in your bibliography, there was a section where you say in your bibliography what was the final part that you were supposed to do. Tie what your method, how that was going to map to what? The proposal on your project. You will not have in this paper that you write for your final research proposal the methodology that ends that way. You'll basically say in the abstract, paired sample t-test, two-factor ANOVA, regression analysis should indicate this, and then the last one is kind of a discussion sentence. Does that kind of give you a bit of a model of, does it have to be exactly like this? No, but kind of concise to the point. Here's what we're doing and here's what we expect to find. Any comments or questions about that? So your homework for Tuesday, due by 4 p.m., is to basically post a draft. The draft will be worth 10 points. Am I looking for brain science here? Yeah, well, this is cognitive neuroscience. No, that was a joke. Brain science, right? Get it? Cognitive neuroscience. Okay. Now, I'm looking for a draft. I try not to have grammar errors in it. Try to do what you're supposed to do, but it won't be graded as harshly in the draft mode as the final product here.
What are we posting a draft of? An abstract or the
Yeah.
posting?
Just an abstract. So if you go to Module 6, here we go. So abstract, 4 p.m. on Tuesday, that's what we will be doing on, that's what your assignment's going to be. If you post it before that, that's perfectly fine as well, but just give it your best shot and try to just have the grammar there and say, here's what we predict and here's who I would sample. The other thing I would tell you about this proposal, pretend it's a best case scenario. I'm teaching a class right now at Virginia Tech, and we spent a lot of time talking about methodology. So you can say 40 people were recruited. Well, that's a little later on in the proposal. So an abstract, simply an abstract. And I decided to put it worth 10 points. I thought that was of benefit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure there are no spelling or grammar errors and sentences are okay. And you try to do what we did here. If it has a few, 2 method section statements and a couple of result section statements, it's not going to be the end of the world. It'll be graded on a kind of a lower end of things just to make sure you have it. And I'll read it and then I'll give you direct critiques, because then at the end of the semester, you'll be able to use that to put together your final situation. So next, and actually let me